United States President Donald Trump said he postponed a planned attack on Iran after requests from the leaders of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates, adding that serious negotiations are now taking place behind the scenes. The comments suggest renewed diplomatic efforts are underway amid weeks of escalating tensions between Washington and Tehran.
A Russian attack has damaged port infrastructure in Ukraine's Danube River port city of Izmail, a vital grain export hub, while Russian authorities said they had downed 4 Ukrainian drones headed towards Moscow. As peace efforts remain stalled and both sides continue reciprocal attacks, Izmail in the Odessa region is a frequently targeted logistical centre and was hit in the early hours of Tuesday. It is Ukraine's largest port on the Danube.
On May 14, Jerusalem Day, Israel's annual celebration of its 1967 capture of occupied East Jerusalem, tens of thousands of ultra-nationalist Israelis marched through the old city chanting "Death to Arabs" and "May your villages burn," while attacking Palestinian shops and residents. Far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir raised the Israeli flag in the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, declaring the Temple Mount is in our hands, using the Jewish term for the site, while fellow Jewish power legislator Yitzhak Kreuzer prostrated himself before the dome of the Rock Mosque and declared on social media, "The time has come to get rid of all the mosques and work to construct the temple."
Workers at the SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles have decided to go on strike if federal immigration enforcement agents are deployed at the venue when it hosts FIFA World Cup matches in June and July. The unit, here Local 11, a labor union representing some 2,000 hospitality employees, on Monday demanded federal guarantees that Immigration and Customs Enforcement, IC, would not be used during the matches scheduled at the stadium.
Beirut, Lebanon, on May 9th. Lebanon's Prime Minister Nawaf Salam made his second official visit to the Syrian capital Damascus since the fall of the al-Assad regime in 2024. The trip came as both Lebanon and Syria suffer ongoing Israeli attacks and occupation of their territories. It also marks the continuation of a new framework for relations between the two countries, analysts told Al Jazeera. That followed years of Syria exerting its political and security influence over Lebanon and the Lebanese group Hezbollah's military support for President Bashar al-Assad during Syria's civil war.
Pakistan is likely to make major squad changes for the upcoming 3-match ODI series against Australia, with final consultations currently underway. Sources said the series will begin in Rawalpindi on May 30. While the remaining 2 matches will be played in Lahore on June 2 and June 4.
The Supreme Court has issued a comprehensive set of guidelines aimed at improving the quality of pleadings, ensuring uniformity and strengthening the administration of civil justice at trial courts across Pakistan. In a 26-page judgment authored by Justice Shahid Bilal Hassan, the Apex Court stressed the need to incorporate these principles into civil procedure and legal drafting courses at law colleges to better prepare future lawyers.
Samsung may stop making its Galaxy Z Flip lineup next year, according to a new claim from a Weibo tipster. Reports have suggested that Samsung's next Galaxy Unpacked event is expected to take place on July 22nd. The event may bring 3 foldable phones, including the regular Galaxy Z Fold 8, Galaxy Z Flip 8, and a new Galaxy Z Fold 8 Wide, which is a tentative name for a wider foldable model.
According to details, a 13-member executive committee was elected during the recent elections. Subsequently, a special meeting of the newly elected executive committee was held at the residence of former club president Dr. Nadeem Naim, where elections for key office bearers were conducted. The following members were elected to the respective positions.
Pakistan Red Bull bowling coach Umar Gul has addressed the discussion surrounding a viral video involving him and Shaheen Afridi during the second test against Bangladesh at Sylhet International Cricket Stadium. The video spread widely on social media, with some users claiming that Shaheen had disrespected Gul. However, there was no verified evidence of the conversation, which led to misunderstanding and speculation online.
Read on for an excerpt from Danielle Muinuddin's novel, This Is Where the Serpent Lives, The Golden Boy Rawalpindi, Pakistan, 1955, 1970, 1979.
9-year-old Oday Shana, whose mother emigrated from war-torn Gaza and settled in Southern California 2 decades ago, was among dozens of children forced to huddle in classrooms on Monday when deadly gunfire erupted at the mosque where they attend school. In an interview hours after the late morning shooting at the Islamic Center of San Diego, Shana recalled hearing a barrage of gunshots coming from outside the walls of the complex, which also houses an Islamic day school.
In a small sewing workshop in southern Gaza, Nisreen Al-Rantisi pulls fabric from a pile and reshapes worn wedding dresses, trying to keep a fading tradition alive amid war and soaring costs. Families said they have been struggling to find new wedding dresses, and many search instead for places that refurbish gowns and other kinds of clothes for their children.
Red Magic has introduced a new gaming mouse in China during its 11S Pro launch event. The mouse uses a full carbon fibre top shell with a magnesium aluminum alloy base. This design brings its weight down to 49 grams without using a plastic chassis.
The government of Pakistan has introduced the National Skill Competency Test, NSCT, for IT graduates to bridge the gap between academic learning and industry requirements in the information technology sector. According to a Ministry of IT and Telecom document, the initiative comes amid concerns that despite producing a large number of ICT graduates every year, inconsistencies in skill standards and limited alignment with market needs have affected employer confidence and restricted the growth of high-value IT exports. City Traffic Police Lahore has finalised a traffic management plan for 6 cattle markets established across Lahore ahead of Eid al-Adha, with more than 200 traffic wardens deployed to manage traffic flow and assist traders and visitors. Chief Traffic Officer Lahore Syed Abdul Rahim Shirazi said zonal officers from the City and Sadar divisions would supervise arrangements at all cattle markets. Under the plan, 6 DSPs, 18 sector in charges, and over 200 wardens have been assigned duties, while 6 forklifts will remain operational to remove encroachments and illegally parked vehicles.
The University of Health Sciences, UHS, in collaboration with UNICEF, has launched the first phase of a capacity-building programme aimed at integrating nutrition and child health interventions into the MBBS curriculum across Punjab. The initiative began with a 3-day training workshop on community-based management of acute malnutrition, attended by medical educationists, paediatricians, public health experts, and healthcare trainers from medical colleges and teaching hospitals across the province.
Pakistan stands at a defining economic crossroads. With a population of over 240 million, a youthful demographic, rising smartphone penetration, and rapidly evolving digital infrastructure, the country should by now have emerged as one of the world's most vibrant digitally banked economies. Yet financial exclusion remains deeply entrenched. According to the State Bank of Pakistan, SBP, nearly 53% of Pakistan's adult population remains financially excluded, while only around 2.4% has access to formal credit facilities. These figures represent millions of Pakistanis who continue to rely on undocumented cash transactions, informal borrowing, and economically inefficient systems that constrain productivity and limit upward mobility. Chief of Defence Forces, CDF, and Chief of the Army Staff Field Marshal Asim Munir on Tuesday asserted that propaganda, fake news or externally sponsored terrorism could not derail Pakistan's progress. The Field Marshal made the remarks while interacting with officers and troops of formations to Quetta, according to the military's media affairs wing.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif arrived in Quetta on Tuesday for a one-day visit, according to the Prime Minister's office. PMO, Balochistan Governor Jafar Khan Mando-Kyle, received the Prime Minister upon his arrival, his office said on a post on the social media platform X. Most members of Stanford's class of 2026 are smart, ambitious and poised for remarkable careers. Theo Baker already has one. In his first semester of college, Baker broke the story that forced Stanford President Mark Tessier-Lavigne to resign, work that earned him a George Polk Award, one of journalism's highest honours. Warner Brothers and producer Amy Pascal have optioned the rights to that story. And Tuesday, with graduation less than a month away, Baker publishes How to Rule the World, a sweeping account of his time at Stanford and the school's often insidious relationship with the venture capital industry. Judging by early interest, it has every chance of becoming a bestseller. We've been anticipating this one. We shared some related thoughts about it just a few weeks ago. We talked with Baker last Friday. This interview has been edited for length and clarity.
Federal Information Minister Atala Tarar on Monday rejected reports claiming that the government was considering increasing the minimum voting age from 18 to 25. Responding to a question, Tarar said no such proposal was under consideration and dismissed the reports as rumours. The discussion surfaced after advisor to the Prime Minister on political and public affairs, Rana Sanaullah, recently stated that a proposal to raise the voting age was being discussed in connection with the proposed 28th constitutional amendment.
Russian President Vladimir Putin arrives in Beijing on Tuesday for talks with his Chinese counterpart and his longtime good friend Xi Jinping, intending to show their ties are unshakable days after a visit by Donald Trump. The confirmation of Putin's trip came just hours after Trump wrapped up his visit on Friday, the first by a US president to China in nearly a decade, and one aimed at stabilising their turbulent relations. The teaser and trailer for an upcoming film, Psycho, directed by Shan Shahid, were launched at a local hotel in Karachi on Sunday evening. The film will be released on Idol Azza.
On Tuesday, voters in Pennsylvania's 3rd congressional district, which encompasses much of Philadelphia's urban core, will decide what kind of progressive champion they want representing them in the United States House of Representatives. 4 candidates are vying for the Democratic nomination in Tuesday's primary. They include State Representative Chris Rabb, State Senator Sharif Street, paediatric surgeon Alla Stanford, and lawyer Sean Griffith. Pakistan's exports to the Middle East fell 8% year-on-year in April, underscoring the impact of regional conflict on the country's trade flows with one of its most important markets. Outbound shipments to the region dropped to 230.279 million during the month, with exports to the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain and Jordan all declining, according to central bank data. Exports to Saudi Arabia posted only marginal growth in April, signalling a sharp loss of momentum. Lahore. A newly married woman who was allegedly set on fire by her in-laws 2 days ago succumbed to her critical burns at Nishtar Hospital, Multan, on Monday. The young woman Fuzia, 28, a resident of Jatoi Tehsil, had suffered critical burns at her house 2 days ago under mysterious circumstances.
Pakistan and 9 other countries on Tuesday issued a joint statement condemning Israel's interception of the global Sumud flotilla. The joint statement by the foreign ministers of Pakistan, Turkey, Bangladesh, Brazil, Colombia, Indonesia, Jordan, Libya, Maldives and Spain was shared by the Foreign Office on the social media platform X.
Less than a week after Xi Jinping rolled out the red carpet for US President Donald Trump, the Chinese leader is hosting another guest of honour, and this time it's a close ally. Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to arrive in the Chinese capital Tuesday for a state visit clearly calibrated to show Beijing and Moscow's alignment in the face of global geopolitical upheaval.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has hailed Moscow and Beijing's deepening ties as a stabilizing force on the world stage ahead of talks with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. In an address ahead of a two-day visit to China that begins on Tuesday, Putin said, Moscow and Beijing do not wish to align against any other country but work together for peace and universal prosperity.